Hey everyone, so in today's video I'm going to do something a little bit different, and I'm just going to have a little chat with you guys, and I'm going to tell you about the experience of my pond snails taking over my tank. If you follow me on my Instagram, you were probably very aware of this because I was in quite a mood when I had found the snails. This happened overnight, so I was pretty tired and pretty cranky. And so I posted all of this in my story. I do have it as a highlight in my story called Snailpocalypse, if you're interested in checking it out. If you don't follow me on Instagram, my Instagram is official_Betta. But for now, I'm just going to talk to you nicely about this little story. And this is just going to be a casual video, so if you're not really into videos where I'm just sitting down and talking to you guys, that's okay. You can click out right now because I'm going to teach you nothing. I'm going to teach you literally nothing in this video. All I'm doing is ranting about snails. Okay, so about a week or two ago, I was just turning off my fish tank light, and I noticed that there was a snail on the front of my tank. For the first 1 second, I thought it was cute. I'm like, okay, there's a little snail on my tank. This is cute, right? And then I realized that there was one on my filter, and then there was another one on the actual intake tube. I think that's what it's called. There was a little snail shell in that. And then I noticed more and more on the glass. I noticed a couple on the plants. And that's when I realized that I had a bunch of snails. I have live plants, and that's pretty much guaranteed where they came from because I hadn't introduced anything new to my tank in quite a while. And pest snails are notoriously known for coming in plants. So I made the mistake of just doing a general look with my eyes to decide whether or not there was any snails on these plants when I planted them. I didn't see any. I plucked a couple snails off that I saw, but stupid me did not realize that there might be eggs or that you might miss some. Now, my first reaction, which isn't smart, was I'm going to sit in front of this tank and I'm going to pick every snail I see out and put it into a cup. So I'm sitting in front of my tank and I'm picking these snails out and putting them in a cup. And then I'd sit there, maybe watch some YouTube, edit it a little bit. And then I'd come back about half an hour later and pick out more snails, put them in the cup, kill them, throw them out. And I did this until about 2:30 in the morning. Not my proudest moment. By this point, I was starting to get a little crazy. I didn't know what kind they were right away. I actually posted in a Facebook group in relation to aquariums, basically asking what kind of snail it was, and the overall consensus was pond snails and ram's horn. The pond snails were the biggest ones that I was concerned about. I Googled what to do with them and also asked for advice on this forum, and the majority, of course, everyone went to either assassin snail, chemicals, or trapping them with zucchini. Now, it's 2 a.m. right now, and my family's in bed. If I leave the house, it will be a little suspicious, and the grocery stores are closed anyways. So I go and raid my refrigerator, and all I find is lettuce. So I go and I stick lettuce all over my tank. Everywhere. I put one on the heater, I tucked one in the filter, I tucked one under the driftwood, I clipped a couple to my tank and some of the using extra suction cups that I had. I probably had 5 or 6 pieces of lettuce in this tank. Eventually, when I did this, I went to bed. And it took me a while to fall asleep because I was so angsty about these snails. And I finally wake up in the morning and I go and check, and sure enough, there's snails once again all over my tank. And there's none on the lettuce. I'm not really surprised. But I also noticed that there is an egg sac on the back of my filter. So I removed the egg sac, which is the weirdest feeling thing ever, by the way. But I go to remove this egg sac and I remove the snails that I can find. But I've pretty much learned that my simply staying up all night and plucking them out of my tank as I see them was not going to be an effective solution, especially not long term if I ever wanted to sleep ever again. So I start researching chemicals and I can't really find any, which I later realized are actually illegal in my country. So good thing I didn't do that. And at this point I was raged that the little snails were winning, because I had just cleaned my aquarium and then these snails show up everywhere. So I don't know if I like stirred something up when I cleaned my fish tank or they had just matured and it was coincidence. But either way, my tank had turned into a giant party of reproducing snails. And I was not okay with that. So the last one to try was the assassin snail. I went out that day. That morning, my sleep-deprived self went to the pet store, a local pet store in my area, just a little corner shop. And I went there and I got 2 assassin snails. Now, I only wanted 1, but I got 2 because I have very little self-confidence when it comes to buying a new fish for the first time. Now, Hamilton was my fatter snail, and Hardrick was the thinner snail. Hardrick only really lived for a day, so I don't know what exactly happened with him, but maybe there might have been something wrong with him from the beginning. I know that like his shell wasn't like all the way on, kind of like it was like kind of like half off, if that makes any sense. Like I could see like a lot of his side. It didn't come like all the way around, so I'm thinking that might have been the problem. Meanwhile, Hamilton has lived about 2 weeks now. When I got those snails, immediately my pond snail problem started to fix itself and slowly started to diminish. Now I'll see the odd snail pop up, but within a couple days I don't see any more. And it all kind of ties into when my snail becomes more active. So I do think that my assassin snail is definitely helping with the pond snail problem. And it is the most ironic thing in the world that I have a problem with my snails, so I go out and buy a snail to fix it. Like, I remember telling my friends that I had a pond snail problem, which I apologize to my friends and family for me not shutting up about these snails during that whole few days that it was happening. I'm pretty sure I used the word snail more times in that 24-hour period than I have in my entire life. Sydney 1, snails 0. I win. The snails do not. And now I have a happy, healthy little assassin snail living with my Betta Louie. And it's kind of nice to have something else in the tank. But yeah, so that's the story of how evil snails took over my tank, how I bought a snail to fix the fact that I had too many snails, and how now I'm no longer the owner of just a Betta. And I have now tried a new aquarium thing. I've never had a snail. So I don't really wish to bore you anymore about my snails. So I'm going to wrap this video up now. If you have successfully gotten this far and watched this entire video, leave Bumblebee in the comments down below so I can know you actually watched this thing. If you like this video, as always, make sure you give it a thumbs up. If you like this video and want to see more videos like this, then make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell so you get notified when I upload. But that is all for today, and thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you again soon. Bye, guys.